Hi friends, Miss Stanton here, back again with some writing activities for you to try. We're going to do 3 different activities today and choose whatever interests you. We're going to do some compare and contrast. We're going to do some frog life cycle. And we are going to use our journal writing paper today to do a nonfiction retell about frogs. We'll begin today with the frog's life cycle. Remember back now to Mrs. Nielsen's reading, and we're going to listen to a little clip of her story that talks about the frog life cycle. So here we go, friends.
Do you know where frog babies come from, or what they're called when they're babies? All frogs, even the terriblest, have mothers. Mother frogs lay eggs, and when the eggs are ready, out pop the tadpoles. You're right. Tadpoles are baby frogs. They don't look like frogs yet. Tadpoles have tails, and they only live in the water. So here they are as eggs. So mommy frogs lay eggs, and when those eggs hatch, they become tadpoles. You can see he has tiny little legs growing here, but he also has a very long tail. Tadpoles grow up to be frogs. First, they breathe underwater with their gills. So just like fish do, they have these little gills on the side that help them breathe underwater because unlike frogs, tadpoles have to stay in the water. Now, they grow lungs for breathing air, and they grow legs for hopping and swimming. So as they grow, they start to grow lungs so they can breathe air. Breathe air with me. Those are using our lungs. And then they grow legs for hopping and swimming. And in 3 months, they lose their tails. It's time to hop out of the water.
Now that we've had a chance to go back and review the frog's life cycle from the book Mrs. Nielsen shared, we're going to take a look at our worksheet here. Let's go ahead and read. It's a frog's life. Eggs, tadpole, tadpole with back legs, froglet, frog. The first thing we're going to do is color our pictures. Then we'll cut apart our page into little cards, and then we'll staple them together in order to make a little book. Friends, we need to put our cards in order to tell the life cycle of a frog. Well, here's the front cover of my book. I'm going to set that up here because I know that's going to go in the front of my book. Now I'm going to look through my pictures here, and I'm going to see if anything looks familiar to me from Mrs. Nielsen's story. You know, when she was reading, I remember it started with the eggs, right? So I'm going to put eggs behind my front cover because that'll be my second page, right? Next, we have tadpole with back legs, froglet, and frog. What would come next? Do you remember what came out of the egg? The tadpole, right. So I'm going to put the tadpole behind the eggs. Next, we have tadpole with back legs, froglet, and frog. What do you think would come next? Do you think maybe tadpole with back legs? Do you remember Mrs. Nielsen saying that the tadpole grew legs? You're right. Now we have froglet and frog. And you know what I see that is different about these pictures is the froglet still has a little bit of that tail left, doesn't it? So do you think that the froglet or the frog comes next? You're right, the froglet. I'm going to put that next in my book. And then last, I have the frog, and like Mrs. Nielsen said, this frog is ready to breathe oxygen. I'm going to put that on my last page of my book. Now, I have my story, and guess what? Mrs. Stanton does not have a stapler here at home, so I'm going to use this little clip. Maybe you have a stapler, maybe you don't. Another thing you could do is just fold your corner over like that. So let's take a look. It's a frog's life. Eggs, tadpole, tadpole with back legs, And last, frog. Now that we have our super fun book completed, it's time to move on to our next task, if you should choose to do it. This is our, do you remember what this was? A Venn diagram. You're right. We use this to compare and contrast things. Today, we're going to use our Venn diagram to compare and contrast frogs and toads. Do you remember that part in the book Mrs. Nielsen read? Let's go back and review that. Here we are back at Miss Nielsen's story again. Let's hear all about frogs and toads one more time.
Toads are frogs too. What is the difference between a toad and a frog? Do you know? Some frogs are poisonous. They're moist, that means they're kind of wet and smooth. They have teeth in their upper jaw. They lay eggs in clusters or groups, and they have powerful jumping legs and webbed feet. Now, toads are a little different. They're a type of frog, but frogs spend most of their life around water. Toads spend most of their life on dry land. There's one major difference. Their bodies are built for where they live. They don't have teeth. They're dry and bumpy, and their eyes don't bulge out from their bodies like frogs do. They lay eggs in long chains, and they have shorter legs because they do more walking than jumping.
Look at our worksheet here for comparing and contrasting frogs and toads. And we're going to write frogs over here. Ready? Capital F here. Frog. And then toads. Toads. Ribbit. All right. Remember, friends, over here we'll put things about frogs, just frogs. Over here we put things just about toads. And in the middle part here, remember this word, it says both. Things that are true about both. Very quickly here, Miss Stanton has done 3 things for just about frogs. She's done 3 things just about both, and then 3 things just about toads. And I'm going to quickly read to you what I did. I know you guys will come up with many more, I'm sure. So I said that frogs, I drew a picture of some teeth here. Frogs have teeth. Frogs lay eggs in clumps. And frogs have eyes that stick out a little bit more, though. Both of them lay eggs, and they both have a tongue that they use to catch food with. For toads, they lay eggs in sort of a chain. They have shorter legs, and they like to stay dry. Let's move on to our third activity for this lesson. I'm going to take out my Writer's Workshop paper. Looking at my checklist, I'm going to go through and read them. I can label my picture. I can make finger spaces. I can start with a capital letter. I can capitalize the word I. I can stretch out the words. I can spell word wall words. I can use lowercase letters. And I can end with period, exclamation point, or question mark. Let's begin with my picture, and I'm going to label it. I've drawn my picture and labeled the things in my picture. I drew sun, I drew water, tadpole, eggs, a tadpole growing legs, a frog, a tree. Now it's time for me to add my words to go along with my picture. And my words today are going to recall 3 things about frogs that I have learned. I'm going to begin by telling something about frogs I know. And I'm going to go ahead up here. I'm going to check off. I can label my picture. I did that. Okay. I'm going to remember now that I need to use finger spaces. And this next one says start with a capital letter. So I need to make my first letter in the first word of my sentence a capital. I'm going to start about frogs. So I'm going to make a capital F. Og. Z. Finger space, lay, egg. And period, stop. I need to add my punctuation. Okay, my next sentence. So I have frogs lay eggs. What's something else I know about frogs? Frogs eat insects. So, looking up here, I need to use my capital letter. So capitalize the F in frogs, the first letter, my first word in a sentence. Frogs, return sweep. Frogs eat, finger space, insects. Ooh, let's use our kid spelling. Frogs eat insects. Period, stop. And my last thing about frogs, you know what I thought was super fascinating that Mrs. Nielsen read about was that frogs could be poisonous. Ooh, okay. So my next word, I'm starting another sentence. Wow, look at me go. My first letter needs to be capitalized. So I'm going to write frogs again. Frog. My F is capital because it's my first letter of my first word in a sentence. Uh-oh, I ran out of space. I need to flip it over. Frogs can, that's a word wall word. I can C-A-N. Frogs can, finger space. B-E. Poisonous. Oh my goodness, that's a big one. Let's stretch it out. Ready? Poisonous. What's that first sound you hear? P, you're right. Poisonous. What sounds do you hear? Poisonous. I hear kind of a U sound. Poisonous. I am kind of like, I want to emphasize that because it's kind of like, wow. So I'm going to put an exclamation point because I'm kind of excited about that. I'm going to go back and reread my writing now. Are you guys ready to do that with me? Frogs lay eggs. Frogs eat insects. Frogs can be poisonous. I'm going to go back and look at my checklist here. I labeled my picture. I checked that off because I know I already did it. I used finger spaces. Did you guys notice me using my finger to make my finger spaces between my words? I'm going to check that off. Did I start with a capital letter? So let's look at my first word in my sentence. The F is capitalized. That one's capitalized, and so is that one. I'm going to check that off. I can capitalize the word I. I didn't use the word I, so I'm going to skip that. I can stretch out the words. Oh, goodness. Did Miss Stanton stretch out the words and use her kid spelling? I did. Check. I can spell the word wall words. Ooh, did I use my word wall words? I remember that one word. I said, ooh, that's a word wall word. And it was the word can. I'm going to check that off. I can use lowercase letters. Oh, goodness, guys. I've been working so hard at this. So I have my capitalized first letter and the rest are all lowercase. Check. I can end with a punctuation. Look I have a period, and I was super excited about this one, so I wanted to emphasize it. It can be poisonous. I used an exclamation point. So did I use punctuation? I did. Now, I'm going to reread it again to make sure my writing makes sense. Let's go. Frogs lay eggs. Frogs eat insects. Frogs can be poisonous. Did my writing make sense? If my answer was no, I would want to go back and take a look at where it didn't make sense and maybe erase and rewrite my sentence. That's all for today, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed your 3 choices. And your teachers, as always, want to see what you're up to. So when you're done, feel free to share with your teacher. We miss you and take care, kiddos.